Whenever you apply particular in a project, it's applied within a layer. That's important to understand when you're compositing your particles into a composition. Particular has its own position data within the layer that operates independently of the position data of the layer itself. Let me show you what I mean. If we look at our current project and go to the timeline and click on the current time indicator to scrub down the timeline, you'll notice my little hut here has a nice scale applied to it. And what I want to do is add smoke coming out of that chimney. So I'll move my current time indicator back to the beginning of the timeline, go up under the layer menu, and add a new solid. Make sure to make it the comp size and choose whatever color you like. I'll leave mine set to gray and click OK. If your layer solid isn't at the top of the layer hierarchy, make sure to drag it to the top of the layer hierarchy. Now with that solid selected, go up under Effect and go down to RG Trapcode. From there, I want you to choose Particular. With Particular applied, let's go to the Designer in the Effect Controls panel. Click on the Designer button. Go to the left side near the Presets and hover over the Presets button, and I want you to navigate down to the Smoke and Fire section. In here, let's not use Basic Rising Smoke. Let's scroll down and choose Smoke Rising 1. When we click on that, you can click on it once and then go over here and click Apply. Now, if we press the spacebar to preview our animation, you'll notice the smoke pops up right in the middle of the layer. And nothing else is really happening. The layer is sort of stagnant, and the background lodge is still scaling up. I'll press the spacebar to stop playback here. And I'll move my current time indicator back to the beginning of the timeline. And with layer 1 selected, if you go up to the particular area in your Effect Controls panel, I want you to open the options for the emitter. Here's where I have position data. So go to the right of the word position and you'll see this crosshair button. Click on that, and this will allow you to reposition the starting point of the particle emitter. So here, I'm going to go ahead and click just above the chimney, like so, and I want this emitter to follow the scale of the lodge. So I'll go to the parent column, and if you don't see the parent column, you can just right-click next to the source name and go to Columns and choose Parent. Okay? So in the parent column, click on the pick whip and point it towards the lodge. Now when I scrub in the current time indicator, you notice the layer is moving and the smoke is moving. And it doesn't matter how I animate this layer. The smoke is always going to be positioned based on how this layer is positioned. So much so that, let's say if I select this layer solid and I go to my particle options, and let's increase the life of the particle. I'll make the life last 9.8 seconds, okay? So now when the smoke comes up, notice it's going all the way off the top of the screen. If I grab my layer solid and just reposition it, notice the smoke gets cut off on the edge of that layer. Again, the particles just exist within this 2D layer. So I'll press Ctrl Z or Command Z to undo. Now, the last thing I want to do is actually composite this, and I don't need these black pixels as a part of my particles. So I'm going to go ahead and select layer 1, and you may need to toggle your switches and modes until you see the modes, and change the mode from normal to screen, and that'll knock out all the black pixels, and now it looks like the smoke's actually coming out of the chimney. So if we move our current time indicator back to the beginning and press the spacebar, you'll notice the smoke is coming up out of the chimney. Now, if you're paying really close attention, and it depends on the resolution of your monitor as to whether or not you can see this, but you may notice some of the pixels of the smoke actually popping out in front of the chimney. So I'll press the spacebar to stop playback and just reposition my dark layer solid underneath my lodge to make sure there's no doubt that the chimney is always going to be on top of the smoke. So now I've successfully composited the position of my smoke within the overall composition underneath the lodge layer with a blend mode and having adjusted the position of the emitter itself. So when you need to add particles into a scene, it pays to remember just how the particles work within the layer to which they are applied.